On? Yes. Hi. For those of you who don't know me, we're kind of going in reverse order here, but I'm Karen Pelt-Strauss, and I am the Deputy Bureau Chief of the Consumer Governmental Affairs Bureau. Welcome. Before we have any further business, it is my great honor to introduce you to the new, but not new to the FCC, Chairman of the FCC, Ajit Pai, who has steadfastly been committed to expanding and promoting the rights of people with disabilities. So we are delighted to have him as chairman, and especially delighted to have him here today to say a few words. So thank you. Do you want to come over here?
Is that okay? Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, thank you, Karen, for that introduction. I didn't want to stand up there sort of proclaiming as if up on high to the masses. It's certainly not the way I approach these issues. But thank you very much for having me this morning. When it comes to matters of disabilities and communications, I bring to the table the firm belief that there is no problem that cannot be solved without determination, goodwill, and a very big cup of coffee. As you can see, I come armed with the necessary tools to approach these issues. But I do want to say thank you so much to all of you who are serving on our disabilities and our DAC, our Disabilities Advisory Committee. I really appreciate the advocacy that you have poured into this committee lo these many years. And now that I have the privilege of serving at the head of the agency, I have a chance to see firsthand how important your work is. We've already had a chance to hit the ground running. And as you might know, this coming Thursday, we are going to be voting on some improvements to the video relay service. And this is an item that I'm really excited about. One of the core missions that we have at the agency is making sure that all communications services are accessible. We want them to be functionally equivalent for every American. And the video relay services item, I think, is just terrific. One example of that, as you might have seen, involves if you're making a video relay service call and you have a question about a medical issue or a highly technical issue that an interpreter might not necessarily be equipped to translate. Well, one of the things we are pioneering is the use of skills-based routing to see if there are interpreters who are specially trained in those areas who might be able to better communicate using some of those terms, like medical terms. And I'm not sure how the vote will go. I can tell you it has one vote so far. But I'm really hopeful that my colleagues will agree to see it my way and push across the finish line some of these reforms. Thank you, Claude, for the the other piece of it that I wanted to mention was some of our work in the past on real-time text, and I want to thank you, many of you here in this audience, for that work. I will never forget a trip I took to Gallaudet, maybe about a year and a half ago, and I had the chance to meet with one of your members, Dr. Christian Vogler, as well as research associate Paula Tucker, and senior engineer Norman Williams. And Dr. Vogler and his team patiently walked me through some of the advantages of real-time text. And there's no substitute, I think, for getting to see it in person. The ability to have a conversation in a natural way, as opposed to sitting here on a device, typing out an SMS text, waiting for the other person to receive it, waiting for the other person to respond. And it was just such a different experience with real-time text. And it made me think about some of the other applications that real-time text could have for those with disabilities. For example, if you're in an emergency situation and you're talking to a 911 dispatcher, the last thing you want to do when seconds matter is to spend minutes trying to type out a message and receive information back from the dispatcher. And so I was really pleased that on a bipartisan basis, we were able to push across the finish line some necessary improvements to real-time text to allow those in the community, such as Dr. Vogler and others, to keep innovating based on this IP-related platform. The other issue that we focused on a lot over the years has been accessibility by design. And this is something that I had a chance to talk about with our Consumer and Governmental Affairs staff yesterday. One of the things that you notice is that now devices like these are incorporating accessibility principles from the get-go. It's so much easier to do that as opposed to, say, creating the next big mousetrap and then trying to figure out months or years afterward, how do we make sure that this mousetrap is able to be used by every American? And one of the things I've been pleased about is that working in partnership with the private sector, we've been able to enhance this principle of accessibility by design so that more and more of the devices that are coming online and using all of these great networks that we're building are able to be used by every single American. And I know that there are really smart people, much smarter than me, in the private sector who are engineering these concepts into being, and we stand ready as an agency to work with them to make sure that all of these technologies continue to be accessible. Now, more broadly, zooming out to 60,000 feet, as you might say, what is the FCC's direction on these issues going to be? Now, as you might have heard, because I can't stop talking about it, one of the issues that I'm really passionate about is closing the digital divide, about narrowing the gap between Americans who have access to the internet and to other cutting-edge technologies and those who don't. And I think that that issue has particular salience when it comes to those with disabilities. For example, if you think about what real-time text is, it's essentially the migration from an old platform, SMS or TTY and the like, to an IP-based platform, RTT. If you think about what VRS is, some of the improvements we're trying to make, it's trying to incorporate the best technologies that the internet has to offer in order to make the communications experience more seamless. And so I hope you know that when I talk about the digital divide going forward, I'm not just talking about the nuts and bolts of regulatory policy, reforming our rules to make it easier for broadband providers to install infrastructure. That's an important piece of it. But the end goal is always to make sure that we bring these new technologies to bear to benefit every single population which heretofore might not have had access to communication services, and that includes those with disabilities. And so often when we vote on some of these issues, I think back to members of my own family who have had disabilities. And I spoke yesterday about an aunt, my father's older sister, who was born deaf in the 1930s. And as you can imagine, in those days in India, that wasn't exactly a high priority for government or industry to be able to extend to people like her communication services. And I think now about what she must feel, or what she would feel, if she had the ability to enjoy some of the services that we're introducing and trying to introduce today. It makes me appreciate even more the core of this agency's mission. And that's something that I hope to achieve with your help in the time to come. We certainly are aware that the FCC is not the repository of all wisdom, and that's part of the reason why the Disabilities Advisory Committee is so important. For example, with your relay and equipment distribution team, I look forward to understanding some of the metrics that you'll be trying to figure out for things like VRS or IPCTS or TRS issues generally. And so please do stay in touch, not just today, but all days, to help us achieve that mission. As I told our terrific staff in CGB yesterday, we're all in this together, and I'm looking forward to working with you and rolling up our sleeves in the time to come to make that mission a reality. So thank you for your attention, and as I always do, I apologize to our intrepid interpreters for speaking so quickly. I'm trying to speak more slowly in the future, but I guess it's that fast-talking Kansan in me. I just can't stop.
Thank you so much.
Oh. And now the real star of the show.
And I'm from New York, and I drive them crazy.
Okay.
So, thank you so much. That was wonderful. We really appreciate your coming and spending some time with us this morning.
Thank you.
So, and we look forward to having the group provide recommendations for you as they go forward.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. And now off to drink some coffee.
Right.
Thank you.
And I'm going to hand it over to you.
Well, thank you very much. I'm Elaine Gardner, for those of you who are new here, and I really appreciate everybody coming out early in the morning and joining us. I really thank Commissioner Pai for his words, and he is so attentive to our issues, and we're very lucky to have Chairman Pai as our new chairman. I want to make sure that everybody knows that there's coffee and refreshments over on the table on my right. And with no further ado, I would like to welcome our new co-chairs, Lisa Hamlin of the Hearing Loss Association of America and Sam Yale from SSB BART. Thank you. Do you want to use this?
Hello. Hi. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. I'm Lisa Hamlin. I'm the Director of Public Policy at Hearing Loss Association of America, and I thank you for the honor of being chair to this committee for the FCC. I've been, and a number of you have been on the DAC before, and I welcome you all back to this second term. It has been, was last year and the year before, a very productive, very involved, very engaged group, and I thank you all right from the outset for the work last year and for coming into D.C. to be part of this new DAC. I expect it to be just as productive, just as engaging, and I was saying to somebody else, what I like a lot about the DAC is that it gives an opportunity for consumer groups and organizations to really meet and talk to industry, and both of us get a sense of the issues that each other face and how we can come together to resolve these, and then make really actionable recommendations to the FCC that we can move forward. So again, I don't want to take a lot of time. I want to thank you for being here, and then I want to turn it over to Sam so that he could say a couple words too. Here you go, Sam.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the second term of the Disability Advisory Committee, and welcome to spring. It's great to be here. I'm excited to be working with all of you. It's a tremendous honor to co-chair the DAC. I'm a principal technical consultant with SSB BART Group, and we're really delighted to be here and to be working in partnership with you and the Commission to improve access to communications and broadcasting for Americans with disabilities. So I look forward to working with all of you, and we're going to have a great term.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Elaine. She wants to say a couple of words, and then we'll have introductions.
Great, thank you. I just wanted to say a few things before we go around the table and introduce ourselves to each other. There are copies of the agenda in the back near the door. The Wi-Fi code for those of you who are in the room is FCC 082481. It's also posted on the column to my left. The restrooms are directly out the door and to the left. And we're going to take a break at 10:15 and lunch at noon for DAC members and subcommittee members and support staff only, not for the public or guests in the back. Also, I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that when we go around to introduce ourselves, that first you would raise your hand every time you're going to be using a microphone in this room. You need to raise your hand so that members of the public who are watching remotely can see you, so that the cameras will focus in on you. Even more important, count 2 before you start speaking. This gives the cart riders and the interpreters and everybody a chance to catch up and make sure that everybody is captured correctly. And usually when we go around the room for introductions, the first few people do that, and then people start forgetting. So I want to urge you, I know that people on this side of the table will remember, but I want to remind people on my right to keep it up. Count to 2 before you say your name. I also want to encourage anybody who has any questions or any issues during the course of this meeting to come up to me and let me know if there's anything I can do to help you. Thank you.
You ready for introductions? I think so. Okay, we're ready for introductions. I will also add to that what Elaine said is I am using the assisted listening device here. So everybody please speak into the mic. The other thing raising your hand does is get the mic turned on, so please wait for the mic. Christian, did you have a question right up front?
Yes, I do. Christian Vogler speaking. I am sorry to interrupt the process, but I've heard from a person who is watching remotely. The web stream feed is actually impossible to understand at this time. I don't know who in the technology office can help with that, but I wanted to bring that to somebody's attention. The audio specifically is not working.
Okay, so at this point, this is Lisa Hamlin. I'm going to start introductions. We'll go around the table, going to my right. So, Sam again.
This is Sam Yale. I'm Principal Technical Consultant with SSB BART Group and co-chair of the DAC, and we are going to my left.
Hello. Oh, hello. Hi, can everyone hear me? This is Will Schell. I am a fairly new attorney at the Disability Rights Office here at the FCC.
Hi, this is Tim Powderly. I work for Apple and have been there for about 6 years, and I'm very happy to be here.
Hello, this is Zach Bastian. I'm with Verizon.
Hello, I'm Phyllis Ginnivan. I'm representing the Association of University Centers on Disabilities.
Hi, I'm Maggie Nygren. I'm with the American Association on Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities.
Hi, I'm Tom Litkowski with Comcast.
Good morning. I'm John Card with Dish Network.
Buenos dias. I am Maria Diaz. I come from DICAPTA. We have been working in access to media and in technology solutions for Americans with disabilities who are Spanish dominant. I'm honored to be here.
Everett Bacon with the National Federation of the Blind. And it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
I am Jerry Barrier. I am with the National Deaf Blind Equipment Distribution Program known as ICANN Connect, and I work at the Perkins School for the Blind.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Scott Davert, and I am here representing the Helen Keller National Center, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Tony Stevens. I'm Director of Advocacy and Governmental Affairs with the American Council of the Blind.
Good morning. I'm Jill Luckett with NCTA, the Internet and Television Association.
Linda Vanderloop with AT&T.
Good morning. I'm Tim Cregan. I'm a Senior Accessibility Specialist with the U.S. Access Board. Good morning.
Hi, Helena Mitchell with the Wireless Rehabilitation Engineering Research Center at Georgia Tech.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ron Butler from Montana. I'm just a consumer. I'm the little guy here that benefit from everything that we do.
Hello, my name is Jamie Taylor. I represent Deaf Blind Citizens in Action.
Hi, good morning. I am Claude Stout, and I am with the Telecommunications for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Incorporated. Good morning. My name is Isidore Nyongabo, and I am with the National Black Deaf Advocates. Happy to be here. This is my first time. My name is Richard Ray, and I'm with the City of Los Angeles Department of Disabilities. So happy to be here. Thanks. My name is Zainab Alkebzi, and I am with the National Association for the Deaf. My name is Gary Beam, and I am representing RIT, the Rochester Institute for Technology, NTID, and the National Technical Institute for the Deaf. So happy to be here. Hi, good morning. I am Christian Vogler, and I'm with Gallaudet University Technical Access Program, and specifically the Rehabilitation Engineering Research Center for Deaf and Hard of Hearing People. So happy to be back, all my favorite people in one room. Hello and good morning, everyone. I am so happy to be back. My name is Eddie Martinez, and I work with TCS Associates, focusing on technology access for deafblind individuals. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Brian Unashko. I am a deafblind consumer, and I'm very happy to be here for the second term.
Hi, I'm Dr. B.J. Gallagher. I am a speech-language pathologist and director of the nonprofit Speech Communications Assistance by Telephone, representing individuals with speech disabilities.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Sheffield. I work for the American Foundation for the Blind. I'm an alternate. Mark Reichert could not be here this morning, but sends his best to everyone.
Hello, my name is Gay Jones. I'm with representing FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency.
Good morning, Larry Walk from the National Association of Broadcasters.
Hi, good morning. Cara Romanino, Director of Regulatory Affairs at CTIA.
Larry Goldberg from Yahoo.
Hi, I'm Elliot Greenwald, Deputy Chief of the Disability Rights Office here at the FCC.
This is Susie Rosen-Singleton, Chief of the Disability Rights Office, and I welcome everybody.
Hi, as I said before, I am Karen Peltz-Strauss, Deputy Bureau Chief of the Consumer Governmental Affairs Bureau, and it's perfect that this lands on me because I'm up next. We switched the order of the agenda because we wanted to see who everybody is. We can do the other thing in a second.
And I want to introduce the alternate.
Oh, okay.
Co-chair, can we do that?
All right,
now, or
okay.
do it later?
No, we can do it now. Okay, Lisa would like to introduce first the alternates and the co-chairs. So why don't we go ahead and do that, and then we're just going to have some very brief welcoming words from Susan.
And I'd also like to introduce anybody who is sitting on a committee but not in the full ZAC who is here today also can introduce themselves. So can we get a mic going around in the back?
Well, there's a mic in the middle.
They could come. You can come and stand up at the mic in the middle there if you are an alternate or if you are sitting on a committee but not at the full DAC. Don't be shy.
That's you.
Good morning, Mark Fletcher with Avaya. Back here again, chairing the Emergency Communications Subcommittee. Good to be here.
Good morning. My name is Mary Lovejoy. I'm with the American Cable Association.
Good morning. My name is Heather York. I'm with VITAC Closed Captioning, and I'm on the Video Programming Subcommittee.
Hi, I'm Frank Lucia with the Wireless RERC at Georgia Tech.
Hi, I'm Sarah Herlinger from Apple. I'm the alternate for the company.
Hello, I'm Neil Tucker. I'm with the Registry of Interpreters for the Deaf, and I am the alternate.
Good morning. My name is Stacy Brady. I'm the representative for the Telecommunications Equipment Distribution Program Association. I'm with Missouri Assistive Technology. Thank you.
I am I'm David Bahar, and I am on the Relay and Equipment Distribution Subcommittee and the Emergency Communication Committee. Thanks. Good morning. My name is Greg Leibach, and I am representing ZVRS and Purple, which has now become just one company, and I am on the Relay Equipment Distribution Committee.
Good morning. My name is Carol Colmenares. I'm the alternate for Maria Diaz from DICAPTA, and I'm also in the Emergency Communication Committee.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Pody with NCTA, the Internet and Television Association, and I'm an alternate to Diane Burstein.
Good morning. My name is Roy Graves. I'm with Caption First, and I'm on the Video Programming Subcommittee.
Good morning. I'm Andy Bope with Hearing Industries Association, which is the hearing aid manufacturers.
Hi, good morning. I'm Ian Dillner. I'm an alternate representative for Verizon. Thanks.
Good morning. I'm Rochelle Garrow, and I am a co-chair of the Relay and Equipment Distribution Subcommittee.
Good morning. I'm Matthew Baruch, an alternate for the National Court Reporters Association, sitting on the Video Programming and Technology Transition Subcommittees. Thank you.
Good morning. Chris O'Brien, Accessible Media, Inc., on the Video Programming Subcommittee.
Hello, I'm Deb Burnson from the American Speech and Hearing Association, and I'm sitting on the Tech Transition Subcommittee and the Relay and Equipment Subcommittee.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Michael Strecker. I'm here representing Clear Captions, and I'm on the Relay and Equipment Distribution Subcommittee.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Pam Holmes from Ultratech Capital, and I'll be co-chairing the Relay and Equipment Subcommittee with Rochelle.
And last, I don't know, maybe least, maybe not, but I am Jeff Rosen, and I am with Combo, and I am on the TRS committee as well. Good morning, everyone.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for coming here again, all our alternates and all the chair and co-chair. I also wanted to thank NCTA for the National Cable and Telecom Association for providing breakfast and lunch. A very important role here, so many thanks to those folks. Now we can turn it over to Karen.
So third time is a charm. Welcome. It is so exciting to see all of you and to have you here with us again. It feels like a long time since you were last with us. I know many of you were on the first committee, the first DAC, and we met last in December. And I welcome all of those of you who are new. It's so exciting to have some new and fresh ideas come to the DAC. And I'm especially delighted to have Sam and Lisa as our co-chairs, to have Elaine renew her role as the designated federal officer, to have all of the people here from DRO. It's just, we just so appreciate the time that you give to this committee. We realize that you're not compensated for it. We realize there are expenses to your organizations, sometimes to your personal pocketbooks, and we also recognize that you give a tremendous amount of time, both in terms of making the journey to D.C. We try to provide good weather. We did so pretty much today, but sorry about those cherry blossoms, guys. Maybe you can catch a glimpse, but that wasn't in the plan. But we really do appreciate the time that you give, not only in terms of travel, but in terms of the incredible commitment and resources that you put into the recommendations that you have provided us in the past. As the chairman mentioned this morning, those recommendations are taken very seriously and have gone into a number of proceedings. And as he pointed out, probably the most notable one was real-time text. We could not have done that without you. You really, if you look at the proceedings, you will see that you literally provided the template for that proceeding. So we really, really appreciate everything that you've done for us. I just want to mention one item, you're going to hear shortly from all of the players in DRO. You're going to get to meet many of the people in DRO. DRO stands for the Disability Rights Office, for those of you who are not aware. And the Disability Rights Office is housed in the Consumer and Governmental Affairs Bureau. And that's where I am in the front office. Just so that you, for those of you who are new, so that you understand the structure, there are around, and I think that other people, I think that Susie's going to explain it a little bit more fully. But I did want to mention one thing that's really important, and it's now, and we need your attention to this because we want to make this as great as it has been in the past. This chairman has agreed to again host or sponsor the Chairman's Awards for Advancement in Accessibility. This is our 6th year hosting these awards. They are given out at the M-Enabling Conference. I have flyers here that I'll be distributing for those of you who haven't gotten one, and we have brailled flyers as well. We could also send you electronic copies, and we really urge you to get the word out to your communities. We have not received many nominations this year so far, and we want to make sure that everybody knows about this great opportunity to showcase new innovations that advance technology access for people with disabilities. We are open to products, services, standards, even research, and really just about anything that is geared to improving accessible communications, video programming, internet access, etc. The nominating period closes, or I should say, let me put it in a positive way, is open through April 13th, 2017. It's a very easy nomination process. You send an email to Chairman's AAA, so it's Chairman's AAA at fcc.gov. You can also visit www.fcc.gov/chairman's, no apostrophe, Chairman's AAA, and get more information about this. For those people who are in the room and others watching on the web, what we're looking for are innovations that were introduced to the public during calendar year 2016. It's an important criteria for you to understand. So it can't be in a stage of development. It has to actually been introduced to the public last year. We want you to provide details in your nomination form about the problem or challenge addressed by the innovation, including any background information and a description that includes electronic links to videos or demos or other detailed information. We have found that having a link to additional information is really helpful rather than just having the nomination, especially a video. Those are very helpful. The date the innovation was introduced is also required on the nomination, as well as a description of how the award would impact continued success and progress towards accessibility, and an explanation of why the innovation qualifies for the Chairman's Award. And we have a team of people, just so that you know, made up of various offices and divisions here that evaluate the nominations. And as some of you who have been before to the M-Enabling Conference in June, it's a really fun ceremony. This year, the chairman will again be giving the keynote at that conference on June 13th. The second day, the actually conference has 3 days this time. It's actually the second day of the conference, but the first full day of that conference. The first day is devoted to international delegates. And it's a really fun ceremony. It's very exciting to see the innovations that are created, and very inspiring. And I think that the people that have gotten awards have been very happy about the recognition that they've gotten in the past and the exposure to the innovations. So we really encourage you to submit your nominations soon. And if you have any questions, again, just send them to, you could also send them to me at karen.strauss@fcc.gov, or write to Chairman's AAA at fcc.gov. So thank you very much. Thanks for being here. I'll be around all day to answer any questions, and welcome you again. And now I'd like to turn it over to Susie Rosen-Singleton, the Chief of the Disability Rights Office.
Good morning, everyone. I join Karen and others, as well as the chairman, in their warm welcome of all of the members of the DAC. We are really thrilled that we're all able to be here for a second term for the Disability Advisory Committee. I know that there are many of us who have started here and felt that we were on a journey with the first DAC, getting to understand each other, the different perspectives that are involved in issues, ways that we can work together, and finding a middle ground where we can have a meeting of the minds to make some forward progress and make things better for people with disabilities in terms of accessibility issues and so forth. And I say that because I was in the past a facilitator for the video programming subcommittee and was an alternate facilitator for the emergency communications subcommittee. And now Will Shell from DRO is taking my place as the alternate designated federal officer for the DAC, who will do an outstanding job. I'm happy to welcome Will into that new role. Look forward to working with all of you moving forward. Chairman Pai, I think, said it perfectly, that you are a great repository of information for us, and we are looking forward to and very honored to have the opportunity to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susie. This is Elaine Gardner again. I am so happy to see everyone today. I have a couple of announcements, and then I want to talk a little bit about the history of the DAC and where we're going from here. First, someone lost their visitor's badge. Now, this might seem like a small thing, but you can't get out of here without it. So, I know you all are very attached to us and want to stay, but if you do want to go home tonight, you're going to have that badge. So check to see if you have it. If you don't have it, DeAndrea over at the door to my left, the exit door to my left, has that badge, so please pick it up from her. I believe the remote audio is working now. I received an email from one of our members who said that it's working for them, but if it is not working, and you see on captions my announcements, please just email me at elaine.gardner@fcc.gov, and we'll continue to work on that. I want to thank everyone here at the FCC for all of the work they put into making this meeting a success. April Jackson, the Disability Rights Office, all of the members of the Disability Rights team, Chantel Vergil and her team from CAOD. We couldn't do it without all of you. Also, I wanted to add my thanks to Jill Luckett and the National Cable and Telecom Association for providing the refreshments. It makes such a big difference to have coffee in the back of the room and to have lunch so that everybody doesn't have to leave. I really appreciate it so much. Thank you. I want to tell you a little bit about the history of the DAC because some of you are brand new members. I mean, there's a few of you around this table who we have not had sit at the table before. Some of you represent new organizations. Some of you are new reps for organizations that previously were members. In December of 2014, the DAC was established. And it was established because the Commission felt a real need for advice and guidance on a broad spectrum of issues involving people with disabilities. We had the term that ran during 2015 and 2016 was a very successful term. There were 20 recommendations that came out during that 2-year period. That's an awful lot. And they were good recommendations, very, very useful recommendations on a wide array of disability issues within the FCC's jurisdiction. I really thank the members of that first term for all of their hard work. The second term was authorized in late December of 2016, and so it runs for the years 2017 and 2018. And we are so excited. We know that the second term is just going to be just as successful or more successful than the first. I hope you've had a chance to pick up a copy of the agenda today. We are going to have a number of visitors from the FCC address you on different topics. We're going to have someone from the Intergovernmental Advisory Committee, Carmen Scanlon, tell you about what they do, their work on that advisory committee, and what that advisory committee does that kind of overlaps what we do and is of real interest. We're going to have folks from the Consumer Advisory Committee do the same. So it's a good idea for you to know what the other advisory committees that are related to the DAC do, and so that we can, begin to work a little bit more together with them. Give them ideas, they'll give us ideas. I think it's a great opportunity. And then finally, we're also going to have someone from our Office of General Counsel give you an overview of the Federal Advisory Committee law and what your responsibilities are, what the ethics provisions are of that law, a little bit about, I don't know if she'll go into the history. I was surprised to find out that there have been federal advisory committees since George Washington. So this is not something newfangled. This has been around for a really long time, and they serve a real important function in our federal government. This term we have 4 subcommittees, and for the first meeting, we're going to have each of those subcommittees meeting today. We think that's important for the first meeting so that you can all get to know each other. You're all together, so you get to meet each other face to face. They're going to be short meetings, probably not a lot of substance, but to figure out your meeting schedules and to, as I say, introduce yourselves to each other. The first meetings will be meeting at 1:45, 15 minutes after we break from the full DAC meeting. Only people who are in the subcommittee and their alternates should attend these subcommittee meetings. That I want to stress that. If you have a break and you don't have a subcommittee meeting till 3 o'clock, you shouldn't be sitting in at one of the 1:45 meetings. We have breakaway rooms available, and anybody here can point them out to you, and we have signage up for you to find them. But that's pretty important that you not stay in the room. One of the rooms, the CMR will host one of the meetings, and then the other meeting will be in one of our conference rooms upstairs, and you'll be led up to them. Anyway, the emergency subcommittee will be meeting at 1:45. It is chaired by Mark Fletcher of Avaya, and the video subcommittee meeting will be meeting at 1:45. It is chaired by Tom Lutkowski of Comcast and Gary Beam from RIT, NTID, the Center on Access Technology. At 2:45, those meetings will end. At 3 o'clock, the Relay Subcommittee, chaired by Rochelle Garrow of NASRA and Pam Holmes of Ultratech, will be meeting here in the CMR. And the Tech Transition Subcommittee, chaired by Zainab Al-Kebsi of National Association of the Deaf and Linda Vanderloop of AT&T, will be meeting in 2 South, in our upstairs conference room. Again, there'll be people here to take you up to 2 South and to take you back from 2 South, except for that person without their visitor badge, and then you just have to stay in 2 South. As I said, there's copies of the agenda in the back. There's brailled copies, large print copies. There's copies of the Chairman's AAA Awards literature in the back, and there's brailled copies and large print copies of that as well. The breaks will be at 10:15. Lunch will be at noon, and I wanted to let you know, if you hadn't already known, that this meeting is live streamed with captions at www.fcc.gov/live, and then it's also available anytime you want to just watch it again at our events page for this meeting. We have a DAC website. It's available. The easiest way to get to it, I just type into the Google search bar, I type DAC FCC, and it comes right up. So I really appreciate everybody being here, and I want to move on to the next item in our agenda, which is the break, and we're not really ready for that yet. Do you think we should just go move ahead, or?
Do you want to move on to?
Well, she's not here yet, so yeah. So maybe why don't we take a 15-minute break right now? That will take us to a little after 10 o'clock, around 10:05, 10:10? Okay, thank you very much.
Can we have everybody get to your seats, please?
Thanks so much, by the way.
It's really
Please don't do that.
Please, everyone, take your seats. You had a really good long break.
There you go.
Is Carmen here, or is she?
I don't
She's
know.
not here
I don't
yet.
know what she looks like.
So
I'll
just
I
introduce.
asked, and I asked, and people don't seem to think she's here. I don't think so. I don't think she's here. But you might, could you, well, it doesn't matter.
We'll see if she comes. Okay. Just let me know, because I don't know. Okay. Okay, I'd like to get going again. Actually, we're waiting for captions now. Do we have captioning? Yes, we do. Okay. So thank you for coming back. Had a good break. We're going to jump into our presentations now. And we're switching a little bit on the schedule. We're going to start first with a presentation on the Consumer Advisory Committee by Scott Marshall, and Ed Bartholomew will take it over from here.
Good morning, everybody. Do I have a mic on? Can you hear me? Okay, excellent. Good morning. Thank you, Lisa. And I also wanted to thank Elaine as well. It's always been great working with her during the first DAC. And I particularly wanted to thank her for this morning, because if this was a CAC meeting day, I would have been in the office at 6 o'clock, worried about who was going to show, who wasn't going to show, whether the chairman was going to be able to make it, did I get all the material to the interpreters, did all the PowerPoints come in on time and all this. But today I was able to come in on my regularly scheduled time with my Starbucks coffee, and had a cup of wonderful Joe, and didn't worry about a darn thing.
Thanks, Scott.
Thanks, Elaine. No question about it. Well, again, it's been a pleasure working with all of you, and I know many of you from either my CAC activities, or I know you personally, many of you in this room, and from my prior life and the advocacy side of things, and I've always treasured those relationships, and want to also thank you for what you do for the Commission. I know it's been said here before today, but it can never be said often enough. But really, although I could talk forever about the CAC, and sometimes do, my real role today is to introduce the gentleman to my right. Ed Bartholomew is the Executive Director of Call for Action, an international network of consumer hotlines hosted in their local communities by media outlets. As you know, I've spent a lot of time in the nonprofit world, and we always worry about mission statements and stuff. Take a listen to this one. It gave me goosebumps, really. The Call for Action's mission statement is to empower consumers by giving them a voice larger than their own. Isn't that cool? And how they do it is pretty cool, too. They have over 1,000 volunteer professionals who, through education and mediation, help consumers resolve consumer problems. And that's a wide gamut of problems, ranging from, of course, telecom issues, which are near and dear to all of our hearts, but other issues relating to housing, product returns, you name it. And 90%, believe it or not, of these complaints are resolved, resulting in something like $12 million annually in the recovery of lost goods and services. Well, you know, I don't know quite how Ed does it, but he has an encyclopedic knowledge of consumer issues, and I never cease to be amazed that I can ask him a question about an issue that I know very little about, but he usually can come back with quite a very cogent and full explanation. He supports all of the network organizations around the country and abroad, and he really never says no, even though I'm always asking him for advice, and one of these days I'm sure he's going to say, oh, buzz off. But he never says no. He's here at the commission a lot, almost on a weekly basis, and he has had a long career with the Consumer Advisory Committee and has been involved in our most significant and recommendations of late. So it's indeed a pleasure and honor for me to introduce Ed Bartholomew, who is the chair of the Consumer Advisory Committee, now in its 9th two-year term. And again, I want you to meet a good friend and, well, my number one volunteer, Ed Bartholomew. Ed, it's all yours.
Thank you, Scott. I appreciate the kind thoughts, and I hope that more than half of what you just said about me is actually true. I think that I should probably start by also reciprocating the gratitude that I personally have and my members of the CAC have for all the work that you do in support of us.
I didn't pay you to say that, did I?
Now that I know that you're here at 6 a.m. on days when we have meetings, I'll have to think of ways we can take a little bit off your plate on some of those meetings.
I just worry a lot, that's all.
So, good morning, everyone, and greetings from the 29 members of the Consumer Advisory Committee. It's great to be with you today, and both Scott and I appreciate Elaine's invitation to join you. There are certainly many familiar faces in the room, and I'm truly impressed by the breadth and talent of your membership. Interestingly, 21 of your members are either current or past members of the CAC, including your co-chair, Lisa Hamlin, Claude Stout, who served on the CAC from its inception in 2001 through last year. Both Lisa and Claude, as well as the American Federation for the Blind's former representative, Paul Schrader, led the CAC's Disability Working Group for many years prior to the creation of the DAC in 2014. In addition, I want to acknowledge the tremendous contribution of Karen Peltz-Strauss to the CAC's work. She's not only helped Scott with the setup of the committee when she was on staff at the FCC, but also in the early days kept us on target as a representative of organizations such as Communication Services for the Deaf. Today, as part of CGB's senior management team, she regularly appears on the agenda of our quarterly plenary meetings to provide updates on the work of the Commission in the disability space. Many of you were in the room in March of 2001 at the first meeting of the Consumer Disability Telecommunications Advisory Committee, as Call for Action's president, Shirley Rooker, opened the first meeting as chair of that committee. The CDTAC, or CDTAC, was subsequently renamed the Consumer Advisory Committee in 2002 to reduce confusion and better reflect the scope of the committee's work. And I also believe to give us a more pronounceable acronym. Now we're simply the CAC. During the early years of the CAC, many of our recommendations were disability related, including topics such as TRS, VRS service, CapTel, caption quality, outreach to the disability community, and much more. Of course, as you know, with the passage of the CVAA in 2010, many more issues needed to be addressed, and the Commission wisely decided to create the DAC in 2014 to gain more focused recommendations and insights as this law is being implemented. Of course, it is no surprise that people with disabilities are interested in general consumer issues as well, and the CAC continues to be attentive of the disability perspective on everything we do. By way of example, in 2015, as part of the Open Internet Orders transparency provisions, the CAC was charged by the Commission to produce a broadband consumer disclosure to assist consumers in making smart choices when they shop for broadband services. The Commission further required that the disclosure be accessible to people with disabilities. It was no accident that the CAC and the DAC had some overlapping members, and we were able to benefit from the advice of the American Federation for the Blind and the Deaf and Hard of Hearing Consumer Advocacy Network on how to make the disclosure accessible. And I'm proud to say that that disclosure passed the CAC unanimously, with industry and consumer representation at the table. It's become practice in the CAC to ensure that our overlapping members have a voice within each working group, and our goal is always to seek their input on any recommendation we are looking to pass. Ensuring that our recommendations include language specific to the needs of consumers with disabilities makes our advice to the Commission stronger. Currently, the CAC has been asked by the Commission to develop a broadband privacy disclosure format that's due by June 1st, which again needs to be accessible. Mark and Zainab are working with us on this project, and just the other day, Zainab reminded us that an ordinary 800 number required by the order in some circumstances to allow the consumer to opt out of the disclosure would be a problem for someone who uses ASL as their primary language. This type of feedback is invaluable to the CAC as we go about our work with the goal of creating quality recommendations for the Commission that reflect the needs of all consumers. In addition to the aforementioned privacy working group, we currently have 3 other active working groups: digital inclusion, technology transitions, and robocalls. Thank you again for allowing me to be part of today's agenda. If there are any consumer topics that you feel would benefit from collaborative efforts, please feel free to reach out to me directly or discuss with some of our overlapping members. If you have time for questions, happy to take them. Otherwise, we're good.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. We appreciate that. Yes, we have time, and if you can take some questions. Do we have any questions from the DAC members for the CAC chair? Go ahead, Elena.
Hi, that was a great presentation, but I have a question about the robocalls. It seems like the number of them have increased over the years, even though there's all these rulemaking saying that they need to decrease. So what kind of direction?
You need to be a little closer, Elena.
I think it's the line. So what type of work do you see the committee doing on that issue?
So the Commission has been very active over the past 6 to 12 months on the issue of robocalls, because I think that everyone at the Commission realizes that it's become an increasing problem and a nuisance to consumers. And industry has been very active in that process. They started a robocall strike force that was primarily led by and driven by industry, and the Commission housed that here and sort of convened that meeting. They've put out a report. They've got some good tips and guidelines. I see our role at the CAC as being complementary and hoping to support the initiatives that industry is undertaking, and making sure that consumer protection doesn't get lost in the efforts that industry wants to implement in order to alleviate that problem for consumers in general. So I think that that's going to be our role, is sort of providing some guidance about consumer protection and how it falls into that space, and at the same time working in a way that's supportive of industry efforts to reduce that nuisance to consumers.
Any other questions? I'm going to actually stop for a minute and tell people that when you have a question, please put your card up, and I'll try to keep a queue. I may not always be perfect in getting right order, but I'd like to do it that way. Elaine?
This is Elaine, and a couple of other tips about using the microphones in this room. When you speak into the microphone, try to keep your mouth like one fist away from the microphone. That's the way they work the best, I've been told. And please say your name before you say anything. And, of course, wait for the camera to focus on you. Thank you so much.
With that said, Ron, please go ahead.
Good morning. I do have a quick question for you. And it's almost the opposite of a robocall. So as a consumer, one of my frustrations with my speech, and maybe other speech disabled people, is reaching a call center and being asked to do voice prompts. And so they say representative. And so, of course, I have a hard time getting that word representative across. Is that something that the CAC should be looking at that, or is that a DAC issue? And someone from my perspective doing the opposite of a robocall.
Sure. I think it's not an issue that the CAC is currently looking into, but I think it's one where if you felt like, if the DAC and its membership felt like it would be an appropriate place for dialogue between the CAC and the DAC, we'd be happy to have a conversation and see if there was an opportunity for collaboration or if it made sense to collaborate. Obviously, if the decision is it's a DAC issue more purely and that the recommendation should come from here, we would respect that as well. But I do think it's a definitely a valuable consumer issue, and it makes a lot of sense for it to be a discussion topic.
Do we have any other questions? I don't see any. So thank you so much, Ed and Scott. It's good to see you both again. Thanks for coming down.
Who's going next?
Is Carmen here or not? Okay, so we're waiting for our next speaker.
Do we want to move to Susie? Susie, right?
Hi, this is Elaine Gardner again, and I'm so delighted to introduce from our Office of Intergovernmental Affairs, Carmen Scanlon and
Elizabeth Memo.
I'm sorry. Elizabeth Memo to talk to you about another FACA advisory committee here at the FCC that works with other governmental agencies. And a lot of our subcommittees in the last term had questions about how the FCC could better work with other governmental agencies on some of our issues. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest and questions about their work. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Carmen Scanlon, and I am the FCC liaison to its Intergovernmental Advisory Committee. I want to thank you for the opportunity to briefly speak to you about the IAC this morning. First, I would like to make sure that the IAC is a non-FACA committee, and I will explain to you later what is the difference between our committee and other committees at the Commission. I would like to give you some background information about the history of the IAC. In 1997, the Commission established the Local and State Government Advisory Committee, which is the LSGAC. The reason I'm mentioning the LSGAC is because it's the predecessor to the IAC. On July 17, 2003, the Commission revised its rules under Section 0.701 and renamed the advisory body the IAC. The rules were revised to reflect greater balance between state, local, and tribal representation, and urban and rural representation, as well as to gain expertise in homeland security and rural matters. The IAC was established to facilitate intergovernmental communication between state, local, and tribal governments and the Commission. The committee also makes recommendations to the FCC on communications issues affecting their constituents that are within the jurisdiction of the Commission. CGB's Office of Intergovernmental Affairs, under the leadership of Elizabeth Mumu, helps manage the work of the IAC and supports the committee. The membership of the IAC is comprised of 15 representatives from state, local, and tribal governments or their designated employees. The state government has 5 representatives. We have 1 lieutenant governor or governor, we have 3 state legislators, and we have 1 PUC commissioner. The local government has 7 representatives, 4 elected municipal officials, can be city mayors and council members, 2 elected county officials, can be county commissioners or council members, and 1 elected or appointed local government attorney. The tribal government is represented by 3 tribal government officials. They have to be elected or appointed tribal officials. The chair of the committee is Dan Malloy, governor of the state of Connecticut, and the vice chair is Andy Hackaba. He's a council member from Lenexa, Kansas. This is Andy's 3rd term on the IAC. And this is where I'm going to explain to you the difference with the IAC and other advisory committees. The IAC is different from other advisory committees because it is not subject to and is not required to follow the procedures set forth in the Federal Advisory Committee Act. As a result, the IAC meetings are not open to the public. The reason this committee is not subject to the Federal Advisory Committee Act is to ensure that it can operate with informality and flexibility regarding communications between FCC staff and state, local, and tribal governments. Under Commission's rules, the IAC is authorized to operate for 2 years, starting with the day of the first meeting, which means that the current IAC authorization ends on March 24, 2019. Members meet 4 times a year here in Washington, D.C., and are required to attend 50% of those 4 yearly meetings at the members' own expense. On September 29, the Commission issued a public notice and reauthorized the IAC, and on December 29, announced the members of the committee. And just last week, the chairman filled the vacancy for tribal official. As you may already know, this Friday we'll be holding the first meeting of the IAC under its present charter. We anticipate that the new IAC will be able to contribute to Commission priorities that include deployment and adoption of broadband services for tribal, rural communities, unserved or underserved areas. And we are looking forward to a very productive 2 years. Thank you very much. If anyone has any questions. Thank you.
This is Lisa. Do you want to both speak, and then we'll take questions afterward?
Do you want to say something?
Oh, no, we're happy to be here and happy to be filling folks in on what the IAC does.
Okay, do we have any questions? And before I get started with new questions, I have to apologize to Brian. I did not see your card up. I am profusely apologetic. People, this is a large committee. I keep going back and forth. If I miss something, wave your card or make some way, interrupt. Please feel free to interrupt if you want to be recognized. So, Brian, did you want to speak? Want to ask a question of the IAC or?
I would like to finish with the IAC first. My question actually wasn't germane to that committee.
Okay, so anyone with questions for the IAC?
Hi, this is Elaine. So I misrepresented what you do because at the onset I said that you worked with the federal agencies. However, you work with the local and state agencies. I think this is going to be very important to a number of our subcommittees. Both relay and emergency subcommittees are looking closely at how PSAPs can be more responsive to our relay calls and to other forms of communicating with 911 services. And that's exactly the kinds of local and state agencies that we really want to have some influence over and to work with. So I think that this could be very important for at least those two subcommittees to know that there is an IAC and maybe be able to work with them.
So this is my question. I'm going to take privilege as chair to jump in next. If your meetings are closed, how could we work with you? So use the mic, please.
I think just being in touch with Carmen and I, and we can put things on the IAC's agenda, and we'll see how we work them into the schedule. We can have people come in and present to the IAC. It's okay for them to be in the room to do a presentation to the IAC. So,
any more questions? Yes, Isadore?
Isadore Nyangabo. I'm new and I'm still learning about the different committees that are working under the FCC. I wonder if you might talk about the criteria for people being chosen to serve on the AAC, what and the different areas that they're representing.
Yeah, the members have to be state, local government officials and tribal officials. State, local, and tribal government officials. They have to be elected and appointed. So that's the difference between this committee and the membership. If it's not an elected appointed official, it can be a designated employee of an elected appointed official. That's the criteria.
Then if I may, a follow-up question. And how are people with disabilities included, or what sort of relationship do you have with the disability community or with the DAC specifically? How are those issues brought to the table at the IAC?
So we schedule the agenda for the IAC members, and to the extent that there is something you'd like us to consider on the agenda, we would definitely like to hear from you. And Karen just said I should mention that she is coming on Friday to speak before the IAC.
Okay, so if any co-chair has any, or what you could do is funnel the information to your subcommittees. If any co-chair wants to meet or bring somebody as an expert to come to speak before the IAC, you can email, actually probably Elaine would probably be best. And then they'll get in contact with you all. Okay, any other questions or thoughts? Okay, Brian's card is still up. Is there anybody else whose card, because Brian said he wanted to speak to something other than IAC, if I understood correctly. Okay, Brian, why don't you go ahead?
I'd like to suggest that when we come back for break or when we're moving to a new topic, that we could take a moment to check in and make sure that there are questions. I actually have been raising my hand for quite some time without being recognized, so we moved on to other topics, and I'd like to request that we sort of do a check-in before we do that. As well, interpreters need time to catch up, so sometimes when we're moving from topic to topic quickly, the person who's making use of interpreting services doesn't have a chance to weigh in.
I would ask the interpreters to feel free also to flag me if I miss something.
And we're just getting that interpreted, Lisa. So this is Brian again. I was over here flapping my arms, and I just apparently hadn't caught your eye yet. So if we could maybe take intentionally pauses between topics just to do a quick sweep of the room, make sure everybody has been given a chance to be heard on the topic. So I'm asking that each topic have a pause before we move on.
Absolutely, I will do. Pausing now. Any other questions for IAC? Then I want to thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
And actually, Brian, this is Brian. I wasn't done. That was just a recommendation that I was making for our proceedings. I actually do have a comment, though. May I have the floor?
Please go ahead.
Going back to when we were talking about the subcommittees, I had a question about how that subcommittee structure was being worked out. There are some differing views, and in terms of questions about which issue applies to which subcommittee specifically. So, for example, if we are talking about the equipment and setting standards for equipment that gets distributed, there's not a committee that actually specifically was implemented to discuss that. And then are you telling us as the FCC that that's actually not within our purview or jurisdiction? I've gotten some runaround about how we're going to be dealing with issues, so I wonder if we might take a moment and get some clarification on those issues and what we're going to be discussing today with technology standards. Because we've got the Technology Transition Subcommittee, but they're actually talking about future technologies and new and emerging technologies and not talking about the technologies that we already have in place for which we do not have clear standards.
Hi, this is Elaine Gardner. Thanks for that question. I have it on my list of things to talk about. You raise a couple of questions. First, let me address the equipment distribution question. That equipment distribution is an important part of the Relay and Equipment Distribution Subcommittee. It certainly is a topic that the Relay and Equipment Distribution Subcommittee can and will address. So that is that topic is part of the Relay Subcommittee's jurisdiction, and so there is a subcommittee for that. When and if that gets addressed by the subcommittee, it depends on on the subcommittee's priorities, but it is part of that subcommittee. I would also like to say that a lot of you have come to me this morning, and said either, gee, I really want to add another subcommittee to my subcommittee membership, or I would like to switch. I would really appreciate if today you stay with the subcommittees you are assigned to and send me an email so I can make the changes as necessary, but with some kind of order, because right now the subcommittee chairs have an older list, and I don't think it's fair to them to be making a whole lot of changes today. So let's just stay with what we're assigned to, but send me an email. Even if you've already talked to me today, send me an email with your requests, and then I will look them over and address them. Thank you. And Karen?
Thank you. So this is Karen. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. As you know, for those of you who were here in the first iteration of the Disability Advisory Committee, the DAC, the leadership of the FCC made very clear at that time that that advisory committees are working for really the commission. I mean, the commission is asking you and inviting you to provide recommendations and suggestions on how we can best do our work. In that regard, for those of you who are here, you know that we sometimes gave you topics to look at and ask for your recommendations on those. And as I mentioned earlier, you did a stellar job in doing that. And sometimes you recommended topics, and we would then consider the appropriateness of those topics, given a number of factors, whether there was a proceeding open on it, whether there was, whether we had jurisdiction over it, the timeliness of it, the importance of it. That pretty much stays the same. So I just wanted to make clear that we are vetting various topics with the chairman's office, and the topics that you're going to, the assignments that you will be given today in your subcommittees are the result of discussions at the commission to determine what we most need your input on. So I just wanted to just clarify that just to a certain extent. And that's kind of the framework under which we're operating, which is really not all that different than what we did last term. So I don't know I hope that clarifies matters a little bit. So you can make recommendations, but we will need to discuss these with the chairman's office and figure out whether or not these are the issues on which we would like you to work.
Okay, Brian, then I can see you. You have a question, please, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. I just want to clarify, I wasn't speaking specifically about the equipment distribution program, rather I'm speaking about equipment. Maybe I should give you an example so they can understand what I'm talking about, Karen. One of the issues that we talked about in the last term of the DAC form factor for telephones. Some telephones are tactile and friendly for the deafblind user, and some are not. So that's an issue, for example, that we might not know which subcommittee would have the jurisdiction to talk about those kinds of issues. There's no specific equipment that we're talking about. It's a more general topic, and that's the kind of issue I mean.
Okay, well, why don't we, this is Karen, why don't we talk about that, the co-chairs and Elaine and Deora will discuss it internally and we can get back to you.
This is Lisa Hamlin again. I just want to say also that what happened last year, and I assume will happen again, is that the co-chair, sometimes some of the issues kind of overlap. They may not seem really clearly in one committee. So we are setting up, once again, as we have in the past, is having the co-chair talk with each other once a month so that we can exchange information and make sure everybody is on the same page. So even though it's one committee, doesn't mean that we'll never talk to any other committee or never consider things that may not seem like it fits into that particular committee. Somebody had a hand up also? Yes, Scott. Please, you have the floor. Yeah, raise your hand a little bit more so they can see you have the mic.
Oh, there we go. Hi, this is Scott speaking. This may be obvious to people who've been on the committee before, but I am new, so I apologize if this question is easily addressed and I missed it. If there are subcommittees that I feel that I would be more appropriate on as opposed to what I was assigned, is there a way for me to know like what discussions take place today or what assignments specifically are given to each subcommittee today? Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Good question. When you go to your subcommittee meeting today and you feel that maybe this is not the right subcommittee for me, or maybe I could have more better input into another subcommittee, send me an email and tell me what your request is. I have to look at all these emails. I'm getting a lot of requests for changes, and as a lot of you know, it's complicated. It's not as simple as it might seem because there's a limited number of DAC members that can be on every subcommittee. So it's a little bit of juggling, and we need to vet each of these requests, but I will do it as quickly as I can. But for today, just go to the subcommittees that you're assigned with, and if you have more than one subcommittee at the same time, some of you are members of two subcommittees, and they both meet at the same time, well, just choose one, and you know, maybe send your alternate, if your alternate is here, to the other. Thank you.
And this is Lisa again. The other thing is that not always, but sometimes the chair will provide a summary of what happened in the committee, or at least action points. And so you can ask the chair, are always public, so you can ask them directly, or you can ask through Elaine to see if you know what the kinds of things they'll be working on, so that you can have an idea if you want to switch committees or if it'd be valuable to switch committees. Do we have any other questions? I'm also going to add, right here, Ken,
It's
please
really
go
hard
ahead.
to see on this.
Oh, there I am, okay. I didn't get a chance to introduce myself. Ken Siletz with the Information Technology Industry Council, ITI. Just building on that Scott's question and your response, is there something, I mean, I may not have time or an inclination to serve on the other subcommittees, but as a member of the committee, I'd be very interested in the discussions and gleaning information and perhaps identifying individuals I may want to talk with thereafter. Is there a way where we could have not a transcript per se, but a summary on a regular basis as committee members so that we could be kept aware of what is happening in the subcommittees and perhaps bring additional information from the organizations we represent to contribute to that? Thanks.
This is Elaine. Good question. What you would probably should do is to ask the chair of your subcommittee to give you a recap every month on what is on the summary they receive at the executive committee meeting. I think that's the easiest way to get good information for your whole subcommittee and all the members on what is going on in the other subcommittees.
I think this is Lisa. Let me just add, it's a lot of work for the chair to organize their committees, to get things rolling, to do all they have to do. So it's a lot to ask them to keep minutes. There certainly are no transcripts. So I would, as Elaine suggests, just go to the co-chair. We're going to get summaries, not real detailed minutes, I think. And just ask everybody, ask the people you know and people you want to know what's going on. Do we have any other questions on this? So what I was going to add also, hold on a minute, Al, but let me just add, for the co-chair, because we do want to set up meetings, I would ask that during the lunch break, we huddle for a minute to see if we can come up with a date for our monthly meetings. So Sam and I will stay here and we'll sit and figure out what day of the month and what time of the month we'll have our monthly meetings. Go ahead.
This is Karen. I just wanted to offer a suggestion to make to provide a little bit more transparency. Today, the subcommittee chairs, I believe, have already received their first assignments. What we can do for you is to share with everyone what those assignments are, so that everyone knows the topic that each committee is working on, and also be aware that any resolution or recommendation or suggestion or proposal by a subcommittee by itself does not have any force of the committee. All of those have to be brought, and you may have already talked about this, but for those of you who are here, you know that all of those have to first be brought to the committee. So there's ample time to discuss and explore, and if necessary, send back. So there will be multiple opportunities to get engaged. But at a minimum, we will share with everyone in writing the issues that the subcommittees are working on. Okay. I think Sunny had a question.
And let me just add, before I go to Al, is that often also, if it is one of those overlapping issues, we've had other committees in the past weigh in on it. So they'll have a recommendation in draft form. It'll go to another committee so that we can have that opinion too. So you'll be, as Karen said, plenty of chance to weigh in before anything is voted on and final. Now, Al, you've been patient. Thank you. It's your turn to have the floor.
Hello, Al Sonnenstrahl here, and I am from DSA, the Deaf Seniors of America. I really appreciate being here. I was a member of the committee at the last term, and one of the big frustrations for me was having to use the video relay services to communicate with subcommittee members during the conference calls that we hosted. Often the interpreters were not familiar with the topics that we discussed. They often got lost in the weeds, if you will. So I was wondering if it would be possible for you to arrange maybe a central interpreting service, maybe through Fuse or something for each of these subcommittees to use that software. It's a video software for those who aren't familiar, where you can have an interpreter, for example, your own interpreter here from FCC, that would call to a specific place where the deaf person is, or we would call in to them. And that would make us look a little smarter than they have in the past.
This is Elaine. Al, I don't know why that wasn't always available to you in the last term, but it's certainly something that we will offer for scheduled meetings for this term. We will offer a Fuse link up.
You mean for each of the subcommittees?
Yes, it should be. As long as it's requested. I mean, what we need to know about the subcommittee meeting ahead of time, and we need to know that someone who needs Fuse and who will be using Fuse is going to be attending that teleconference. That's what we need to know in order for us to put all the ducks in a row and get the Fuse working.
And this is Karen. And I would imagine that there are some people here that don't know what Fuse is. So just by way of explanation, think Brady Bunch. Of different characters in different squares on a big screen, all talking to each other. We've used it extensively over the last, and for those of you who are too young, that's your fault. You have to look it up. So we've used it extensively at the commission over the last year with incredible success. So, and it allows people to sign directly to each other and on their own web-enabled video devices. So we plan on using that as much as possible. We probably can't have overlapping meetings, but again, with notice, it's not a problem at all. We've set it up literally, at a moment's notice. Don't say that. Well, no, I'm not supposed to say that. Okay, you have to give us more notice than a moment's notice. She keeps me.
Give as much notice as you possibly can.
As much notice as you possibly can. And these are my people that keep me honest.
Hi, Christian speaking. I just have one other comment. Looking back on the last 2 years as a DAC member, there were a lot of challenges that I experienced. A lot of experts are not members of the subcommittees or of the, where the full DAC has a stronger opinion to really make suggestions. So it does take a lot of time to get to consensus for the recommendations. And the full DAC would only have about 2 weeks to review them before a vote. There were a lot of objections to these types of things and, only seeing them 2 weeks before they were supposed to vote on them. So if you think about the deafblind recommendation and how time-consuming that was and how time-sensitive it was. So I just would like to put forth that if we could send out those to the full DAC with more time as opposed to just that 2-week window.
This is Elaine. I can try. Sometimes the subcommittees just don't have them ready until 2 weeks. And I agree with you. I think we need more than 2 weeks. And some members have accommodation needs, and they need plenty of time in order to get the recommendation, in a format they can read. I would urge all the subcommittee chairs and co-chairs and all the subcommittee members to keep that in mind, the need that we really do need to have recommendations well before the next meeting. Thank you.
We're going to try to get back on schedule, so if you can hold, we actually have a part of the agenda for subcommittees at 1 o'clock. So if you could hold on to any more thoughts about this, I'd like to turn it over to Susie to talk about the Disability Rights Office, and then we'll have Paula also.
Yes.
In your pile.
What are we looking for?
Hello again, everyone. We are doing something a little bit different this morning. We are going to give you an opportunity to meet the DRO, Disability Rights Office staff, and to be able to hear directly from those staff members what issues we are addressing at the DRO. So, with that in mind, I want to say a few words before we bring them up. Personally, I joined the Disability Rights Office in 2012 and became chief of the office in May of 2016 after Greg Leibach, who is actually here in the audience this morning, after he ended his wonderful service. It was a difficult shoe to fill when Greg left us. On a daily basis, I continue to be amazed. I cannot cease being amazed at the skill and dedication to disability rights for the staff members in our office. It is a daunting task because we recognize that technology is always changing and transitions are constantly underway. So we have to keep that in mind as we are continuing to work to keep on top of accessibility issues for people with disabilities. Now, before we talk about the specific disability issues that we address, I want to take another moment to talk about the bigger picture. The FCC, for some of you who are new here, I want to give some context for that, as Karen did slightly this morning, and I'm going to add into that. The FCC is an independent agency that was founded in June of 1934 to regulate interstate communications through radio, through television, through wired or satellite connections, and cable in the United States and territories in the District of Columbia. We have 7 bureaus in the Commission. The Consumer and Governmental Affairs Bureau, of course, the Enforcement Bureau, the International Bureau, the Media Bureau, the Public Safety and Homeland Security Bureau, the Wireless Telecommunications Bureau, and the Wireline Competition Bureau. The FCC also has about 11 stand-alone offices that are staffed in order to support those 7 bureaus, like the Office of the General Counsel, the Office of the Managing Director, the Office of Engineering and Technology, and so forth. There are 11 such offices, which brings us to the Disability Rights Office, housed under the Consumer and Governmental Affairs Bureau, as Karen stated earlier. CGB is led by Chief Allison Cutler, and its goal is to develop and implement the FCC's consumer policies and to serve as a liaison to the American consumer. CGB's mission includes disability rights, consumer education, processing general inquiries and complaints from the public, and providing outreach to state, local, and tribal governments. Karen, who you have met and who you know, is the CGB Deputy Chief, and DRO is one of the divisions under her direct supervision. Now, specifically to the Disability Rights Office, which was formed in 1999. And I also have to recognize one person here who was instrumental in founding that office, Al Sonnenstrahl, known as Sonny, who pushed for the establishment of that office, so we owe you some thanks here, and I'm glad to see you're still involved with all of us here at the Commission. Thanks again to Sonny. Now I'm going to let the team go into some of the specific issues that they address, but we do a few things. We provide guidance and technical assistance and suggestions to consumers, industry, and others about these specific issues that you're going to hear that are largely disability access. We also initiate rulemakings in our office where appropriate. We review relevant documents from other bureaus in the Commission to evaluate how those may impact people with disabilities and their access to telecommunications products and services. And without further ado, I want to turn it over to our 2 deputy chiefs in the office who are going to speak to you. First, we have Susan Kimmel and Elliot Greenwald. And I would like to ask them to come on up to the dais. First, we'll have Susan Kimmel tell us a little bit more about the complaints team at DRO, and then Elliot will introduce the TRS team.
Good morning, everybody. I am so glad to be here and to see so many people as part of the DAC. It really was a very important part in the past 2 years, and I'm sure there are many more ideas and things that will be coming. I'm Susan Kimmel, one of the deputy chiefs of the Disability Rights Office, and my primary responsibility is supervising the complaint team. The commission has, and so you may have seen my name on some of the emails that you receive. The commission has instituted a web-based process for inputting and managing inquiries and complaints. So we accept complaints online at fcc.gov/complaints, or you may use another method such as our direct video phone or calling in or faxing in complaints if you prefer to reach us that way. More information about the types of complaints that we handle and the whole complaint process can be found on our website. We are committed to working with the consumers to ensure resolution is achieved, which may involve working with the company, clarifying our rules, and referring complaints to other federal agencies when appropriate. We are most fortunate to have a team of experienced mediation specialists to process disability-related accessibility concerns. And so I want to introduce each of our team members, and so please come forward. Judy Miller, Siobhan Morris, Robert McConnell, Charved Kanaya, and Rosaline Crawford. Another member, Sharita Kennedy, was not able to be here today.
Thank you, Susan. And now Elliot will join us. And thank you to the complaints team.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. It's good to see a lot of familiar faces here and a lot of new people, too. Welcome, everybody. I'm Elliot Greenwald, Deputy Chief of the Disability Rights Office and Special Assistant to the Bureau Chief for Telecommunications Relay Services. The TRS team and I work to ensure the functional equivalent communication services are available to everyone. TRS, as most of you know, include video relay service, VRS, IP relay, caption telephone service, CTS, and IP caption telephone service, known as IPCTS, speech-to-speech relay service, known as STS, as well as traditional TRS. I think many of you already know this, but on Thursday morning's open agenda meeting will be a major VRS item. Invite all of you to attend. It's an open meeting. It's at 10:30 in this very room. Among other things, that item will be seeking comment on performance metrics for VRS quality, and that will be one of the issues assigned to the Relay and Equipment Distribution Subcommittee to make, to develop recommendations for the DAC to make to the Commission. As you know, the costs for TRS are covered by the Interstate TRS Fund, as well as state funds, and the Interstate TRS Fund is managed by an independent administrator who's contracted by the FCC. We are working on ensuring that the standards for TRS are being met, on improving the access to and service quality of TRS, and ensuring that these services are cost effective. We also review applications to provide the various types of TRS, address petitions and other filings, collect and review various reports on TRS, and work with the TRS Fund Administrator and other offices and bureaus to ensure the integrity of the TRS Fund. We are available to answer questions about TRS, and as needed, we work with the complaints team to address issues raised by consumers. In addition to myself, the TRS team includes, and please raise your hand so people see who you are, include Bob Aldrich, who's part of CGB's front office, as well as Darrell Cooper, Sue Barr, and Michael Scott, all in the Disability Rights Office. We look forward to continuing to work with the DAC on TRS issues. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Elliot. Michael?
Good morning, everyone. As Elliot just said, my name is Michael Scott, and I'm an attorney advisor in the Disability Rights Office. In addition to working on TRS issues, I also work on real-time text issues. As many of you know, the FCC requires wireless service providers to support TTY technology and recently adopted rules to allow such providers to support real-time text as an alternative accessible solution as providers migrate to IP-based networks. Real-time text allows for the real-time exchange of messages without the need to take turns using the same 10-digit numbers used for voice calls. The two recommendations of the first DAC were instrumental in completing the real-time text item, and we thank you for all of your hard work on that. The DRO will continue to work on policies for improving and implementing real-time text, including the currently open real-time text rulemaking. We are also here to answer any questions about real-time text, and of course our excellent complaints team will be here to help consumers with issues as they arise as real-time text becomes a reality on devices. We hope to continue working with this DAC on real-time text issues. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I am Rosaline Crawford. It's really good to see some familiar faces this morning. Welcome back. And it's equally good to see some new faces. I am one of the FCC facilitators for the Technology Transitions Subcommittee. Since joining the Commission in 2011, my primary focus has been on rulemaking proceedings to implement the CVAA, the 21st Century Communications and Video Accessibility Act of 2010. Everything from advanced communication services and equipment, internet browsers built into mobile phones, to requirements for closed captioning, video description, accessible emergency information, and television and set-top box user interfaces, menus, and program guides. In addition, I helped to produce the CVAA Biennial Report to Congress, provide oversight to the National Deafblind Equipment Distribution Program, and facilitate the resolution of a wide range of accessibility problems through our consumer complaint process. Going forward, I hope to participate in the resolution of outstanding issues and additional rulemakings permitted under the CVAA that the Commission may undertake. Next up is Will Schell, who recently joined the Disability Rights Office and is also helping to implement the CVAA. Will?
Hello. My name is Will Schell. I am a new blind attorney at the Disability Rights Office, and I'm so happy to be here. I was at the very last DAC meeting of the last grouping, and so I'm glad to have the opportunity to start at the beginning. I am also the alternate designated federal officer for the Disability Advisory, for this Disability Advisory Committee. And I should just tell you a little bit about my work here at the FCC. I work on, my work is primarily focused on 3 of the rules here. one rule to ensure that TVs, set-top box controls, menus, and program guides are accessible to people who are blind and visually impaired. If you're not familiar, this is the rule that requires an audio readout of the menus and program guides on set-top boxes, TVs, smartphones, computers, or many other things that play video programming. The rule has many other components, such as the requirement that there is an easy-to-use mechanism, like a button or an icon, to turn on and off closed captioning and video description. Another area that I work is regarding the rules around emergency communications. This includes making sure emergency information on TV is accessible to people with disabilities, and making sure that 911 and emergency alerts are accessible to people with disabilities. Also, I work on our rules regarding video description, which, if you're not familiar, is audio narrated descriptions of television programs' key visual elements. Our rules require that local TV station affiliates of ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC, which are located in the top 60 markets, the top 60 television markets, provide about 4 hours per week of video description in primetime or in children's programming. Also, the rules require that the top 5 non-broadcast networks, which include Disney Channel, History Channel, TBS, TNT, and USA, must also provide about 4 hours per week of video described primetime and or video or children's programming. Recently, I've been giving presentations to various groups about the accessibility rules on TV set-top box controls, menus, and program guides. I have also been assisting with the complaints team in processing complaints regarding all of these rules. We want everyone to know that complaints can be filed with our office. Without complaints, oftentimes we don't know that an issue is out there. Feel free to reach out to me anytime, and I look forward to working with you all, not only on this Disability Advisory Committee, but also on any other issues that I may be of assistance. Up next is Jackie Ellington to talk about the National Deaf-Blind Equipment Distribution Program.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jackie Ellington, and I am the administrator of the National Deaf-Blind Equipment Distribution Program, also known as the NDB EDP and ICANN Connect. The NDB EDP is a $10 million annually funded program that distributes telecommunications equipment to people who are low income, deaf, and blind. The NDB EDP was started as a pilot program on July 1st, 2012, and has operated as a pilot program since then. On August 5th, 2016, the Commission adopted rules for the NDB EDP to become a permanent program, and those rules will become effective on July 1st, 2017. So if you have any questions about the NDB EDP, feel free to reach out to me. And next up is Susan Barr.
Hi, I'm Susan Barr. I'm a legal advisor in DRO. The Disability Rights Office also handles issues concerning hearing aid compatibility and captioning. First, for hearing aid compatibility, the Hearing Aid Compatibility Act requires the FCC to ensure that all wireline telephones are hearing aid compatible. In 2003, the FCC established rules for the hearing aid compatibility of wireless phones as well. When a phone is hearing aid compatible, it can mean several things. First, it can mean that the phone will work well with hearing aids that have telecoils. Second, it can mean that there is good acoustic coupling, which is typically achieved through volume control on wireline phones. For wireless phones, good acoustic coupling can mean that there is some protection from radio frequency interference. Without that, a hearing aid wearer would hear a lot of noise when trying to have a phone conversation. Last fall, the Commission released an order that sets up a schedule for increasing the number of wireless phones that are hearing aid compatible. The Commission will be looking at input from a consumer industry consensus group on whether it is feasible to make all wireless phones hearing aid compatible by 2024. We also have a proposed order that's currently on circulation among the commissioners. This order would improve the hearing aid compatibility standards for both wireline and wireless phones. So while the order last fall had to do with the number of wireless phones that are hearing aid compatible, the order on circulation gets into the technical standards concerning hearing aid compatibility. As I mentioned earlier, the Disability Rights Office also handles captioning. The Commission has requirements regarding captioning of covered video programming on TV and via the Internet. Closed captioning is the visual display of the audio portion of video programming. Captioning provides access to individuals who are deaf or have hearing loss, and is often used in places where it's difficult to hear a TV program, such as in restaurants and exercise facilities. The Commission's rules for closed captioning ensure that viewers who are deaf and hard of hearing have full access to programming. The rules also address captioning quality. The video programming covered by the rules includes programming that is broadcast live or during times of emergency. FCC rules require caption programs shown on TV to be captioned when they're reshown on the Internet. Our staff members work with consumers in the industry to resolve any concerns about captioning of video programming.
And next will be Shaved. Shaved? Hello, my name is Shaved Kanay. I am the ASL Consumer Line Specialist. Now callers can contact the FCC directly using American Sign Language to ask questions, file complaints, and to give feedback to the Commission. My office can help you with FCC questions and concerns and disability issues. I'm here to answer your questions about TRS, Relay, and issues affecting people who are deafblind. The number you can reach out to is 844-432-2275. Hello, everyone. You know the TV show Better Call Saul. Here we've got Better Call Shaved, which has really been significant and valuable improvement for the ASL using consumers who are frustrated with whatever issue they have under the FCC's jurisdiction. And now to the point, it is great to see all of you, some of you again, some of you for the first time. For those of you who I haven't met, I am Robert McConnell. My role here at the FCC has shifted over the course of the past 2 years since I first came on board in the year 2014. Now I focus on telecommunications accessibility. Specifically, process improvements, both internal and external, operations, research. You've just met Shaved, who handles our incoming calls from the ASL Consumer Support Line to the Commission. And as you know, DVC, direct video calling, has been something we have provided for ASL consumers, ASL using consumers, who historically have had to contact corporations and government through video relay service. Our idea was that these consumers could reach out to a deaf employee at these various entities to communicate in language, and that is DVC. It's a wonderful thing, and largely due to the success of the program that Shaved works on, we've been able to increase the scope of this awesome opportunity to improve communications access for people with disabilities across the nation. And now, what's upcoming on the horizon, we have hired a contractor to build a new open source DVC platform, which will soon be implemented here at the FCC. Some of you who were members of the first DAC will recall a presentation about that same platform. It has been continually improved, and we are hoping to implement shortly, and we'll make sure that it is released to anyone who wants it for free. As we have proceeded with our work on DVC, we've learned a lot and are pushing for more nationwide adoption of DVC. There is a lot in the pipeline ahead for us, not only DVC, but also various projects at the Commission. The Accessibility Clearinghouse is certainly one. The DRO website is another that I work on. I also analyze consumer complaints. And that is important that everyone has a stake in our work, is heard, and that we're able to take input on our efforts. DAC has an important role in getting the word out on those issues, and I'm looking forward to continuing to collaborate with you all in my role as a facilitator for the Relay and Equipment Distribution Subcommittee, along with Michael Scott. And with that, I say thank you. Thank you, Robert. Solita?
Good afternoon. My name is Salita Griffiths, and some of you may know me as the liaison that I work with a lot of the sponsors to help feed the DAC meetings in the past. And currently, I wanted to let you know I have been with the Commission for 21 years and the lead on the Access Info project for DRO. Access Info is a listserv and an archive online library regarding the Commission's accessibility and disability proceedings, news, and events. You can subscribe by sending an email to accessinfo@fcc.gov, and the link to the library you can go to. It is found at the DRO website at www.fcc.gov/disability. Thank you.
Thank you, Salita. We have a few more folks. I am not sure if April Jackson is here. April Jackson is not here at the moment, but she is one of our administrative assistants. She is actually working now to get everything set up for lunch for us, I understand. Carl Simmons is also here. Oh, great. Hi, April. I just wanted to make sure to recognize you, and thank you for your help in DRO. And of course, Elaine Gardner, who you all know, who is also a member. She is our Jill of all trades in DRO, and she is working on various projects under DRO. Also, one individual who wasn't able to be here, Dana Wilson. Dana Wilson has been with the Commission for 24 years and at DRO for 13 years and serves as our Paperwork Reduction Act point person. She handles 50 information collections and all of the associated requirements. She also handles Federal Register documentation and the TRS recertification process every 5 years. With that said, that is all for DRO. I want to say thank you. Please come and visit us, reach out to us. We'll be here for the rest of the day. And thanks again for all of your work that makes our work possible. Thank you.
Is this Lisa? Thank you much, Susie. It's really nice to put faces to all the work everybody does here, and we really, really appreciate your whole staff. You've been doing a great job. So next up on the agenda, Okay, we have Paula. Let me turn it over to Elaine.
Hi, I think, is Paula here? Yes. Oh, super. I'm sorry I didn't see you. You can choose to either come up here or here, whichever you want. Okay. Paula Silberto is with our Office of General Counsel, and she is going to give you some really important information, especially for those of you who have never been on the DAC before, but also for those of you, a refresher course for those of you who have already been on the DAC. So I want you to give her your full attention. This is really important information, and feel free to ask any questions you have at the end.
Thank you. Thanks to all of you for being here. It may be important, but this will be very quick. So you're part of the Federal Advisory Committee. There's a statute that governs the operations of the committee and also some GSA regulations. The guiding principles that make a Federal Advisory Committee Act structure different than certain other committees is that it focuses on openness in government, a diverse and balanced membership, and public accountability. That translates into notice of meetings. You will always be notified of meetings at least 15 days in advance, probably by emails or public notices. Look for those. You'll get notices from Elaine and other people working on the committee. And there's also a statutory requirement for notice 15 days in advance in the Federal Register. If there's an emergency, it could be shorter notice, but usually you'll have plenty of time to make arrangements. The meetings are always required to be open, as is this meeting. I just wanted to mention, it probably won't happen here, but if there were anything you were discussing that were confidential, usually this relates to national security, which probably won't arise here, but there could be industry-wide confidentiality. Someone were making a presentation about a product that were useful to this community, but it was a new development or there were special patents pending or something like that. You could still have access to that information, but the meeting would have to be closed and people might have to sign confidentiality agreements. But if there was something confidential that you wanted to have brought to the attention of the committee, speak to Elaine and we can always work that kind of thing out. In addition, documents that are submitted to the group are made available as of right in a public record area, which probably means, again, contact Elaine. She'll know where that is. And as well as the transcripts or videotapes of this meeting. If you didn't quite get the name of the website to sign up for something, you can get the transcript or easier contact the folks in the office who can give that to you. The committee chair and the vice chair are very important people in running this operation. They will serve as your focal points. They will work with the designated federal officer. Elaine, is that you? Yep, with Elaine, on establishing working groups and setting up schedules, in communicating with everybody. Know their names. Feel free to contact them. If there's any legal issue, they'll get in touch with me. And they will work on setting the agenda both for these larger meetings as well as for the working group meetings. Just so you know, all meetings, whether they're working group or they're the smaller breakout groups, are called and approved by your designated federal officer, Elaine. And either Elaine or someone she would designate would attend all of the meetings, including the working group meetings. We try to have people attend those just so that they run smoothly. Now, one thing that sometimes gets confusing is the difference between the full committee, and this is actually legally important, the full committee and the subgroups. The full committee, all of you folks sitting at the table with name cards, are the people who will do the voting on any recommendations that would be submitted to the full commission. In contrast, the subgroups, and your groups are subject to all the openness requirements. The subgroups can meet privately to gather information and to make what I call preliminary recommendations that don't go to the full commission. They can't. They need to go through all of you, the full committee sitting here. And there can be draft reports, there can be preliminary recommendations. The informal working groups can meet, quickly. You're not subject to the 15-day notice. If all of the people on a working group decided to meet tomorrow and it was convenient, that would be fine as long as it's fine with your designated federal officer. The reason it's important that the working groups funnel their material to the larger committee is that if you, in a working group, sent your recommendations directly to the full committee, then you would be acting as though you were the full committee, and you would have violated the VACA rules because you've met privately, not publicly, and without notice in the Federal Register, so it really messes things up. So the only thing I can say is just please remember when you get your important recommendations together, they go to everyone here at the table to be voted on, and they don't get separately sent to staff or to anyone else in the commissioner's office. Because you're speaking as a working group, and we don't want you to slip into being a de facto parent full committee advisory group. And that has almost happened before, so that's why I'm sort of emphasizing it. And in just the other thing is in the informal breakout working groups, typically those are held privately and there aren't other people sort of sitting in the office. It's usually easier to keep them closed. That it still allows you, if you have groups that want to make presentations and give information to the working groups, that's fine. They can come in, make a presentation, answer questions. It's very informal. But the people coming in as presenters or to give that information can't act like members. They can't vote, and we would not expect them to attend each and every working group session because then those people would become sort of the equivalent of members, and it could undermine the balance of the group. But it is okay to call people in and to engage and, get useful information from them. And if you have any questions about that or you want to invite people to the meeting, check in with Elaine. The other thing that's occasionally come up, and I doubt it would happen here, but it could, is that sometimes people are writing blogs or articles or op-eds for the newspapers, and it's their individual view, but they sign it, Mary Smith, chairman of the subcommittee for X for the DAC. And then that individual view starts looking as though it's the official opinion either of the subcommittee, when it might not be because it hasn't been voted, or it could even start looking like it's the official view of the entire group here, which would not be a good thing because you want to have everything voted. So my recommendation would be that if you're writing a newsletter or whatever and you're reporting on your views, either kindly don't sign it in some sort of official-looking capacity, or else make clear in the text of it that these are your individual views and they are not the voted views of the entire committee, because this has created some problems in the past. The other little point about the working groups is that we try to structure our working groups so that the number of people in the working groups is always less than 50% of the people in the entire advisory committee, because otherwise it could be argued that the working group, if it had, say, 51% of the total membership, was, when it met, it was acting as a parent committee. So sometimes you might want to be in a group and you're told it's full, and that would be why it's full. We have to limit the number of people in the working groups, and it's not like we're being mean. It's just to make sure that everything stays properly aligned. And if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. And also, please feel free to always contact Elaine with any questions, too. Sure.
Okay, we will recognize in a second. I want to make sure all the interpreters are up to speed here. Okay, good. Tim, go ahead.
Thank you. Tim Cregan, Access Board. Thank you for that presentation, Paula. Could you just take a moment to speak to the whole issue of voting as it applies to committee members and ex officio members?
Sure. For the, I haven't really had, in the subgroups, sometimes we have a chairperson who acts as an ex officio member, but to keep below the quorum, to keep below that 51%, the ex officio member typically would not vote in the working groups. It would just be the appointed members, not the other members. And for the full committee, I don't know, do you have ex officio members here?
The federal government.
Oh, okay. I will have to check because I have not bumped up against that before. So we don't, I'm sorry, we just, I'm not sure that there's a hard and fast rule, and we can talk about that.
I think Elaine.
Raise your hand, right in the back.
Yeah. This is Tim. I think Elaine has some commentary on that. Oh, thank you.
This is Elaine. When we checked, I believe what we found was that the ex officio members simply don't vote. They don't abstain. They just don't vote. They're not voting members. And for that reason, they can also join the subcommittees a little more freely because they're not voting members of the full DAC for purposes of a quorum. Before we move to any other questions, I had a question from a subcommittee-only member who's not at the table, and I thought that I would ask it for her. She was wondering if you could explain a little bit more about the subcommittee meetings. Is it perfectly all right for an alternate to attend but not participate in a subcommittee meeting? In other words, it's nice for alternates to stay current with what's happening so that they can take the place of their primary from time to time when necessary. So it's very helpful for them to participate or not to observe the subcommittee meetings, although we do understand that you can't have more than one person from one organization or company participating. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's an accurate summary. That does keep. There's nothing in the rules that speaks to this directly, but obviously you would only want the regular member, if in attendance, to do the voting, and you don't want to have too many voices from the same committee. So we've always had the sort of practical policy of allowing alternates to attend, but not to directly participate. And if they have questions that are as it's going along, they can funnel their questions through the member for whom they are an alternate.
Question and Tom.
Okay, we have a question from Tom Wadowski.
Thank you. This is Tom. Back to the invited expert aspect, I'm concerned that some of the topics that, for example, the video programming subcommittee may be dealing with may in fact require some technical expertise, particularly when we start talking about some of the graphical information that we're looking at, making recommendations around. Can that expert participate in a full subcommittee meeting if subcommittee members had questions for how a certain technology worked, or can they only present and then have to leave the call? What's the right way to work through bringing an expert into the subcommittee as well?
Good question. In the past, our advice has been they can come, they can give a presentation, but they can also stay for whatever question and answer session makes sense given their topics. But at the point that the meeting might then move on to subject number 2, that person would be asked to leave. But they can stay as long as they are needed so that they can, give the full information and have a give and take on something. It's sort of a fine line, because if the members are sort of discussing, well, we like this or we don't like this, we wouldn't want the expert to jump in and say, oh, here's why you absolutely should only like, my model of something or my way of doing it and not your way of doing it. We don't want dominance by the expert, but we think it's fine that they're available for, a good back and forth with questions and answers. So they don't have to be shoot out the door before you get all the information, that you would need. Does that answer it?
Thank you.
Okay, we had a question from Scott, and then after that, Ron. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed somebody else. I missed you, Ken, I'm sorry. I don't know what order. Okay, we'll do Scott, Ron, and then Ken.
Hi, this is Scott speaking. It's my understanding that the subcommittee meetings are typically done through distance communication. Is that correct? Or are we, do we appoint a place for each subcommittee meeting, or how does that work? Thanks.
I'll let Elaine will address that.
This is Elaine Gardner. Yes, you're right. They're all, except for occasionally they'll follow a full DAC meeting like today, but almost always they are remote.
So Ron is up next.
Thank you, Paula. This is Ron Beacon, and this is my second time around, so I'm pretty familiar with how the third committee met, even the subcommittees, even the working groups. And I'm not sure if you were interchanging the word working group and subcommittee, but did you imply that the working groups should never be more than half the membership of the subcommittee?
No. I was using, that's my fault, I was using the term working group and subcommittee to be synonymous, to be the same thing. So what I was trying to say was that any subgroups of the parent DAC should never be more than, should not be a quorum.
But the rules for the working group are pretty much going to be for the same as the subcommittees. And so a working group might be more than half the size of a subcommittee, because some people in the subcommittee might work on more than one topic.
That's fine. That's absolutely fine, as long as any of these lesser, as long as none of those groups are more than half of the full DAC. But, if you have a subcommittee and you have a working group under that, that's fine. That's all pretty flexible.
Okay, Ken?
Again, Ken Seletz with ITI. Just curious, this is my first time on the committee. Elaine, you referenced a quorum, so I was just curious, does the FACA address quorums and other rules of engagement, or is there some other set of rules that we follow both in this committee and also in the subgroups? Thank you.
FACA is very, it does not actually, neither the Act nor the GSA regs speak to what constitute a forum, and that can be decided by each agency that is setting up the group. And typically, although it could be more, typically we use 51% as being a quorum. But I've heard of groups that might use 2/3. That's a little bit burdensome, so we typically just use 51%. And I think that's probably what Elaine would want to use here.
Thank you.
Did you want to speak to that, Elaine?
This is Elaine. Yeah, well, that's what we've always used.
51 or 2/3?
Oh, I'm sorry, 51%.
Do we have any other questions? Go ahead, Ken.
Apologies, I have a lot of questions, actually. Can a subcommittee determine that its meetings will be open, or are they just automatically closed by virtue of FCC guidance?
No, a subcommittee group, if the DFO, it's really, the policy would be set by the agency, and it can change from group to group, because there's nothing on the rules about that per se. But if most of the members of a particular working group decided they wanted to have some open meetings and invite everybody, okay, it's just that you don't want to discriminate in who you'd invite, but just decided, well, we want to have a working group meeting, and we actually want it to be here, and we want people to be able to attend because it's so important, whatever. There's some expert you want to have into. And if the chair of the working group and most of the members and Elaine felt that made sense, then that's possible. There's nothing that requires it, if that's your question, to be closed. It's just that if it's open, then we have to be really careful to make it truly open and to provide appropriate access.
So this is Elaine. So generally, the answer is the subcommittee and working group meetings are closed because we don't, we do want, if they're open, we want them to be open to everybody. So unless someone of the co-chairs comes to me and tells me that they want an open subcommittee meeting, we go with the assumption that they're closed.
This is Lisa. Let me just follow that up. If they're open, that would mean they'd have to be noticed in the Federal Register?
They wouldn't necessarily have to be noticed in the Federal Register because that really is a requirement open only for full meetings. That's a good question. But they would have to be noticed in some way that would reach the public. So it might be sending out emails to all the people on the whole DAC and also having some kind of a public notice, an FCC public notice, perhaps posting it also on our website, whatever we can do informally that gets the word out.
Any more questions? Okay, thank you so much.
Okay,
really
you're very
appreciate
welcome.
it. Thank you.
This is Elaine again. Right now is the time when it looks like we're going to be taking our lunch break if you're following the agenda. Not so quick. Those of you sitting at the table, the DAC members, have an assignment before the lunch break. What we would like is to organize a photograph of the new term of the DAC. It will be, as some people say, fabulous. It's going to be a good-looking photograph. You're all looking very, very nice. I figured before lunch you're going to look nicer maybe than after lunch. I don't know. And I would also like all the FCC facilitators and co-facilitators to join us. We're going to take the photograph up on the what do you call it, the dais, whatever you call it back there. And it worked out real well last year. Last term we did it, and it looked really nice, and we put it on the DAC website. And so I would like to invite you to, in an orderly manner, walk up there, and tall people in the back, short people in the front. You know the drill. Okay? Thank you so much.
Is it a spreadsheet?
All right, folks, let's get started.
Captioning's not on yet. I'll let you know.
Thank you.
There we go. We're good.
Excellent. Everyone have a good lunch. Once again, I'd like to thank the National Cable Television Association for providing us with this delicious spread. Everyone, please watch cable television. Not officially endorsed by the FCC. But I have been enjoying 24 Legacy with the audio description. It's fantastic. So we have a shortened DAC meeting. The first DAC meeting is shortened, and the reason for that is because afterwards the subcommittees are going to meet and have their initial meetings here. So we only have a half hour left for the DAC, the first DAC meeting today. And so now we're going to go over the subcommittees. And as you know, there are 4 subcommittees, and so what I would like to do is have the co-chairs of each subcommittee introduce themselves to the DAC. So we have the Relay and Equipment Distribution Subcommittee. Would the co-chairs stand up and introduce themselves, please?
Coming to the mic.
Okay.
You need to be closer to the mic.
Say your affiliations. I'm Rochelle Garrow, representing NASRA, the National Association for State Related.
Raise your hand. Raise your hand.
Rochelle.
There you go.
Rochelle Garrow, representing NASRA, the National Association for State Relay Administration.
Pam Holmes, representing Ultratech Capital, and we are both co-chairing the Relay and Equipment Subcommittee.
Thank you, Rochelle and Pam. So next, let's have the Emergency Communications Subcommittee co-chairs introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mark Fletcher with Avaya, and I'm the chair of the Emergency Communications Subcommittee.
Thank you, Mark. Next, let's have the Video Programming Subcommittee co-chairs introduce themselves.
Good afternoon, everybody. Gary Beam speaking. I'm representing RIT and TID, and the director of the Center on Access Technology and co-chair for the Video Programming Subcommittee, along with my partner in crime, Tom.
Thanks, Gary. Yeah, good idea not to try going after the last name on that one. I can barely pronounce it. So I'm Tom Ledkowski, and I'm representing Comcast, and happy to be take 2 on the co-chair of the Video Programming Subcommittee. I guess I didn't screw it up bad enough last time. Lisa was there, that's why. So.
Thank you, Gary and Tom. And last but not least, let's have the Technology Transition Subcommittee co-chairs introduce themselves.
This is Zainab. Just waiting for the camera. Zainab Al-Kebsi, representing National Association of the Deaf, NAD, and I joined Tom in the hard-to-pronounce last name club. I see some familiar faces here in my subcommittee and some new faces. Welcome aboard. We look forward to working with all of you. And I'm very happy to let you know that I do have the support of a co-chair. Linda, take it away.
Hi, Linda Vanderloop, AT&T.
Thank you, Zainab, and thank you, Linda. So, as mentioned previously, the subcommittees will be meeting immediately following the DAC meeting. At 1:45, it is the video programming subcommittee, and what's the other one? Video programming and emergency communications, and then at 3, there will be the relay and the tech transition subcommittee meetings. Are there any questions at this point about the subcommittees?
Tim Cregan.
Tim Cregan, please.
Thank you. Tim Cregan, Access Board. Just for point of clarification, in the subcommittee meetings that are held, if a member needs an accommodation like captioning, for example, they should request that of the subcommittee co-chairs. Is that right? I'm asking for the process. Yeah. Thank you.
This is Lisa. In fact, any accommodations for any committee meetings should be done well in advance. You should go to your subcommittee co-chair or chair and ask for it. They will get the information to Elaine. So if you know you're going to be there and you need fuse, you need captioning, you need whatever accommodation you need, just make sure well in advance they know, because we need to set this up in advance. Is there anything about that you need to add? Okay, just, notify your co-chair and they'll notify Elaine. If, on the other hand, you know you cannot make a meeting and you usually use card or fuse or whatever, also let your co-chair know so they can say, Elaine, we don't really need this. We don't want to spend money on things that we don't need.
Al. Recognizing Al.
Al, sorry, give the camera a moment to get over to me. Al Sonnenstrahl from DSA. During lunch, a group of us were chatting, and there are some people who don't actually know what committees they are on. Do you have a master list of members for each subcommittee? And will you read them out so people know which committee they're on?
This is Elaine. I'd really rather not read them all out because it's such a long list, and we still have to take time for public comments. What I would like to do is, if you don't know, if you're not sure, the first two subcommittees are emergency communications and video programming. Come to me immediately after the meeting when we release to go to the subcommittee meetings and ask me. Okay, so I can tell. I have the list. I just really rather not read all the members. Okay, thanks.
Any other questions about subcommittees?
Yes, we have two at the end. John Card.
John Card, please.
John Carter with Dish Network. I guess I've got a very simple question. For the committee meetings, can you tell us which are going to be in this room and which will be in another room for this afternoon?
This is Elaine. At 1:45, the video programming subcommittee will be in this room. The emergency communications subcommittee will be in 2 South. Those of you going to the emergency meeting will have to have escorts, and there will be escorts provided at the doors. I imagine a few groups of you will go up together. At 3 o'clock, the relay subcommittee will be in this room. The Tech Transition Subcommittee will be in 2 South. Again, you'll have to have escorts. I might as well say right now, and I'm going to try to remember to tell you at the time, when you're leaving. Bring your tent card. Please take your tent card with you to your subcommittee meetings. Please. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. This is Lisa. You said earlier that people who are not on the committee should not be sitting in. Is there a place for us?
Oh, yes, there's always a place for you. Those of you who are not on a 145 subcommittee meeting, you may go to the lunchroom where the lunch was served, or you can go to what we call the breakout room. And there are signs to that, or you can have an escort. It's on this floor. It doesn't require an escort, but certainly someone will take you there if you'd like an escort. It's just around the corner.
We had another question, Brian.
Thanks, Elaine. Also, you mentioned the video programming subcommittee meeting is here, and the emergency subcommittee meeting is in 2 South. Did you mention the ones at 3 o'clock? I'm sorry if I missed that.
I did, but let me repeat.
Okay.
The Relay Subcommittee meeting is here in this room, and the Tech Transition Subcommittee is in 2 South.
All right. Thank you. My apologies. Brian, I see Brian has a question. Recognizing Brian.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I was late, so introducing myself, Brian Scarpelli with the App Association. My question was, if for some reason one of us wants to add or be removed from a subcommittee, is that permitted, and what's the process? Thanks.
This is Elaine. Thanks for asking that. I did want to remind everybody what I had said earlier. There's a few of you who would like to switch subcommittees or add a subcommittee, what have you. For today, let's stick with what we have. Go to the subcommittee that you're assigned to, but send me an email and tell me what you would like to do. If you would like to be reassigned or add a subcommittee, let me know. Generally, we don't like people to be on more than 2 subcommittees. And there are the problems of we can't have more than the quorum of the full DAC on any one subcommittee. So some subcommittees are kind of filled. However, there's people who want to switch around. So there might be vacancies, as it were. So I will play around with it. I will also, run it by the offices here, and I'll get back to everyone. But for today, if you could stay with the subcommittee you've been assigned to, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
All right, we're going to take our final question from Zainab, and then we're going to move on.
Thank you, Sam. This is Zainab speaking. For those of us who are going to back-to-back meetings in different rooms, will an escort be provided to come back around 2:45 to then take those of us upstairs, or vice versa?
This is Elaine. Yes, it's going to be a little complicated, but yeah, we're going to do that.
Thank you all for your questions. If you have any other questions about the subcommittees, please come up to this table and see us and speak with Elaine or Lisa and me. So we are now going to open the floor for public participation and comment. If we are now going to allow the public to ask any questions or comment to the DAC, and we are also accepting online comments as well, I believe. Is that correct? What's the email address for that?
Here's the one question. We have one online. Somebody would have to go to the mic. The online comment we need to read. Do you want to read it? Well, why don't we go through the in-person?
Okay. So if anybody is in person and would like to
yes, we have one person
to speak, then please come up to the mic now. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matina Johnson, and I am electromagnetic hypersensitive due to the electromagnetic fields that come from technology such as Wi-Fi. Currently, I'm not able to go into my workplace because of the technology is just all around in my office, which makes it very difficult to communicate this with my job and to get them to understand the issues that I experience. I have difficulties doing basic things such as going to the grocery store, store, going to the library, and even going to the hospital just because of the technology. Even in this room, of course, you know, most people have technology, and that's why I excused myself and I was in the hallway. But you all even have the Wi-Fi technology in the hallway, so I had to find a little space up above the stairs where I kind of hid in until you all were ready to take my questions. And with 5G on the horizon, it's going to make it even worse, not just for me and people with my conditions, but everyone else because of that technology. The World Health Organization has already declared cell phone radiation as a possible carcinogen, and I think that's something that we all need to dive into a little bit more. I know people who are actually living in their car, who are finding remote locations to live in to try and get away from the technology, and I too have contemplated what it would be like to live in my car. It is actually really scary to think about how you would just uproot yourself and live in your car. I have gotten some questions that I did submit to you all online, so I don't know if you want me to go through them, but I will say that people are taking action for people with electromagnetic hypersensitivity issues. The Greenbelt, Maryland City Council voted in 2014 to oppose cell towers on school grounds. 2019, Bill Ritter Jr., he is the governor of Colorado, issued a proclamation on electromagnetic hypersensitive, declaring a electromagnetic hypersensitive month. And finally, the High Court in Madrid, Spain, recognizes electromagnetic hypersensitive as grounds for a disability. I do have 3 questions that I'd like to ask the committee. Would you like me to ask them, or will you take them online? The first question, I'd like to ask the committee to take action to halt the efforts to deploy 5G technology and to research more how this technology is affecting people like me in small and large ways. My second question, I would like the committee to research efforts to employ Wi-Fi free zones in at least public areas to allow people like me to live a more normal life. And finally, I'd like the committee to research efforts to allow areas or communities to be developed where people with my type of disability can have the option to live in a neighborhood or area that is free from these cell towers or other electromagnetic fields. I thank you for your time today.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the public?
Yes, hi. My name is Marcy Pollan, and I can speak to the issue of electrosensitivity, which is not well understood among the general public, as industry has waged a very strenuous campaign to mislead the public about this issue. And it seems that there are just a few people, there are some idiosyncratic experiences, but this is not the case. There have been thousands of studies conducted, even by government agencies, including the NIH, the U.S. Department of Defense, about the increasing rates of exposure and the increasing frequency exposures which 5G technology will impose on the public, going from 2.5 to 5 gigahertz in our standard Wi-Fi modems to as much as 25, 50, 75, 100 gigahertz through these towers that will be deployed, from what I understand, 3 to 10 per neighborhood. We have photographic evidence as well as thorough documentation of these facts. This is not conjecture at this point. Blood-brain barrier protections are completely degraded through exposure to these frequencies. We have the photographic evidence. I'm a nutritionist and a microscopist. I use thermography. I'm a clinical thermographer. You can watch the brain light up within moments. If you have a thermographic camera and a computer, any thermographer can sit down with a person using a cell phone, and within seconds the brain's lighting up, and then the full body is heating up. This is inflammation. Inflammation is at the basis of all chronic disease. Escalating rates of cancer, especially young women holding cell phones, in their brassieres, getting tumors, breast tumors, brain tumors. I was in denial about this topic for a long time. I'm holding a computer in my hands in order to convey this information. But I can tell you that the evidence is there for anybody who wants to look at it. Bioeffects can also occur within just minutes of exposure to mobile phone masts, cell towers, Wi-Fi, and wireless utility. There's serious lack of understanding of the issue, and impacts, physical impacts include, if you're living within 100 meters of this type of facility, dizziness, nausea, memory loss, inability to concentrate, irritability, a rise in blood pressure. I see clients all the time who have all kinds of diagnostic criteria that are applied to their conditions, and then they're medicated when often the source of the problem is this exposure. Rates of autism decrease when children who are living in rooms that are polluted with electromagnetism at these levels begin to subside when these kids are removed from those bedrooms. All of this can be thoroughly documented. So this is critical because once these are deployed, these frequency rates are going to mean the destruction of pollinators on this planet. That's already happening. As they increase even higher, they're going to be attuned to destroy other life forms. This is a serious, serious, serious issue and cannot be marginalized any further, as this agency and many others in this government would like us to continue doing. So we adapted these things at our own peril. I see this every day in my practice. Thank you. And again, I can provide all the documentation and photographic evidence of what I'm saying, as provided by our own government, the NIH, the toxicology programs, and trying to cite a couple of them. The NIDA, National Institute of Drug Abuse, National Toxicology Program, they've conducted the studies within the government. So this is worldwide now, easily Googleable. If you sit down in front of your computer, you can find this information quite easily. Thank you so much.
Susie, go ahead, please.
Hi. Thank you both so much for your testimony. I am chief of the Disability Rights Office, and we value your feedback. We do want to take this issue very seriously, look at the information that you do have. We have an open proceeding right now at this point, and we've already announced in the last DAC term when other folks had shared similar concerns. So I want to repeat the docket number for you so that you're aware. Please feel free to file comments as part of those proceedings. And that docket number is ET13-84. So we look forward to understanding this issue better. Thank you very much.
Thank you both for your feedback. Are there any other public comments at this time?
Waiting for electronic. As for public comments, just wait a minute.
We are waiting on the online submissions right now.
We have no more? We have had two.
Is somebody going to read those? Or?
We have two online submissions asking similar questions to those raised by the two individuals who just spoke. And we have a third question asking what the four DAC subcommittees are. I think Susie Rosen-Singleton's response about comments on the open docket would answer the first two questions. The third question, the four DAC subcommittees are emergency communications, video programming, relay and equipment distribution, and technology transitions. Thanks.
Thanks, Elaine. Well, we have come to the close of our first DAC meeting, and so I want to thank you all for attending. We are looking forward to working with all of you. This is a great group. I wish I could announce the date for the next DAC meeting, but that has not been finalized yet, so as they say on the news, stay tuned. And Elaine, did you want to say something?
Just one more reminder. Please take your tent card with you to your subcommittee meeting so everyone knows who you are. I appreciate that. That way we save paper.
Pick it up now.
Yeah. Yeah, Karen says pick it up now, put it in your hand.
Put it in your hand.
Al, you're not picking it up. Okay, get your tent cards, and I'll meet you at the door if you have a 1:45 meeting that is not in this room. I think it would be easiest for those of you, yes, first, someone left their glasses by the telephone out in the hall. So I will have these with my papers. If you need them, they're right here, right here. And if you need a escort to our breakout room, please meet on the right, to my right at the exit door. If you need an escort to 2 South, please meet on the left, to my left at the exit door. And and Susie will be going up to the Emergency Communications Subcommittee room in 2 South, so you can meet her at that door and she will lead you there. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Everybody. Thank you all.